Warm welcome to the second edition of St. Moritz Art Film Festival here in Cinema Scala in St. Moritz. It's a great place, and I'm very pleased and honored to be with the great Engadin artist Not Vital, and we were so pleased to also have a conversation with the artist. Been knowing each other for many years, so we're deeply rooted here in the Engadin, but always need to go out to maybe find inspiration, but always come back to get the strength again and realizing how nature is important. And I think in all the works also, nature and the surrounding and the magic places that you found, not only in Sent growing up there, but also Africa, also, you know, Not Ona or Brazil or Beijing, all the other places. How important is it to be a global citizen and finding magical places in nature?
Well, it's not actually finding, it's more like they find you. You know, you can go and say like, oh, where should I live? Where should I build a house? Should I build it here, there, over there? That's not a good approach, I think, because then it's not just losing time. You cannot lose time. So it's more like it comes to you. And I always say the same thing. It's Nietzsche once he said, wenn du, als ich des Suchens müde war, erfand ich das Finden. So it's like just like you find things, you don't go and look for it. It's that's a very simple way of approaching, but strangely enough, it works. I think it works better when you're a child, even. You know, you have that, and then you grow up, and then everything becomes more complex and more complicated, and so. But like to keep that, I think it's very important. And then you also don't have the feeling that you have done much, since things come to you. You know, like, I mean, everything happens, just happens. I don't know. It's like if you look too much for it, then it doesn't work. I think, you know.
So just not forcing things. It's not only Nietzsche who was residing here in Sils, in the Engadin, but also Rumi, who said, you know, what you're seeking is seeking you. So that's the same concept. And that's also this, you know, let go and let things just become. And that's exactly also the theme of this year's festival, becoming landscape. So also there, what do you see, or what did you think when you saw this curatorial title for this year's SMAFF festival?
Well,
what's your interpretation?
I don't think much, you know. It's, by the way, I think this is great here, your key you have in St. Moritz. That's amazing, no?
It is.
Since when has it been open?
Just recently, in
Beautiful.
June.
Very impressive. Okay, sorry. I'm always, you know, I have ADD, so I'm always going everywhere.
But also this is a bit becoming landscape, because you know that the whole Bratas hang is coming down. So the new owner of the cinema had to do amazing investment and really believe in wanting to keep this Scala cinema, and this is amazing. So obviously here we're working with forces of nature. So it's also, as you said, you're not only an artist, you're almost a sculptor, an architect. And so we could actually say this cinema is also the product of, you know, yes, being integrated in nature.
I mean, it's more like climbing a mountain, you know. I mean, in New York, you don't have to climb this. It's amazing. This is great. Okay, again, sorry. Let's go back to...
No, absolutely.
I mean, you know, nature and all what you talk. I mean, that's all what I had. I mean, you know, you grew up with that, and at the time, you have to understand, like growing up in the Engadin in the 50s, I mean, you didn't go to Zurich, or like you didn't even go to Chur. I mean, that was so far away. So you just stayed in the Engadin. And that was just perfect. I mean, it was great that you could build your base, you know? I mean, there was no TV, there was no 5 months of vacation. Can you imagine? That was fantastic. You could just like build your own hut in the woods and all that, and to go back to that. I think that's like what I always wanted, but that's what I always did. So actually, it's never really a surprise, you know? I mean, the surprises are quite rare in that way. You know, it's always like, for example, as an example, okay, first of all, why this island in Patagonia, you know? And my assistant from Ligao, who is here from China, if I would ask him why, hello, he would say, not why, you know, which is a very good question, you know, it's just like, and the thing is that it just happened. I mean, because one of my assistants, he was an architect from Chile, and he said that the country is selling 5 islands. So let's print them out, okay? And then we said, oh, this would be great, maybe to build this house towards the sunset. And then, but we came in too late. That day, all these islands were sold, but this one that we choose was not. So that's already a good omen, right? Let's go. Okay, so we went to Chile. We looked at the island, and the island was great. I thought, wow, what a great island. But then a friend of his comes and said, listen, come with me if you really want to see something. And we flew to an hour and a half south into Patagonia, and you were in front of islands and said, no, but this is amazing. I mean, you cannot buy this. This should be a national park. It is now a national park, right? But then you find that island. I mean, this is exactly which has like a wall on the west side to watch the sunset. So it's perfect. So it's done. So, and then it's like, but then again, you're confronted then with something new because you cannot just build. I'm not an architect. I don't have to build. So like then comes the thing that let's go inside. And all these things just happen. And you find the people who are very good in drilling holes into the mountain. Everyone does that because they have like the gold mines, copper mines. That's what they can do. So it's like always one thing leads to another, and it's not a surprise. It's actually more like just taking than in a way giving. Again, like Nietzsche, no? Friendship is more taking than giving. So it's that's how it works. I mean, and I don't even know how it works, by the way.
So it's really about remaining open, curious, letting things happen. I think that's a constant in your life, and that's why your journey has been so amazing, and I'm sure it will continue to be so. You said that your time in New York especially was determined by chaos and research. These are quite two extremes. Would you say that also in subsequent destinations, as this surprise or not surprise, or just happening with Not Honor discovery, how much is chaos or destiny, or you call it the way you want, and how much is it actually research and going into the layers?
It's absolutely chaos. I mean, research. Art is not a science, okay? So we don't have to deal with that, actually. And research, I'm not that interested in research because I'm very impatient. I don't want to know. I went to Niger. I didn't even know the capital of Niger. I just knew that I had to go there. And when I arrived there, it was home, right? So I get up in the morning, got the land, start building till noon. We already start building the house. So would I have done research? Doesn't work. Then you would have to get like permissions. Then you have to have. Then it's complicated. Then you get the feeling. You lose the feeling. And so it's actually. Basically, it's always, I always say it's like a little bit higher than kindergarten, but that's it. And you get stuck there somehow.
So yes, back to the roots, back to the basics. You also said you're a hunter, even without a rifle. Hunter can be a lot in that sense. Would you describe yourself as hunter of, not only ideas, creativity, that you then translate into your very varied art, because it's not only drawing, it's not only sculptures, it's also architecture and social projects. How do you see this hunter within you expressing yourself in your art?
Yeah, hunter, yeah. But it's more like pulling out the antennas all the time, But hunting, yes, I'm fascinated by hunters. Unfortunately, all my, everyone was a hunter. I mean, my father was a hunter, my brothers. But it is more, in my case, I have to substitute that with something else, right? Because I can't do it. Strange, right? I don't have the few times I went hunting with my father was extremely boring. I mean, it was like, you have to wait and wait and wait. And then something comes and it's not the right thing. So I don't have the patience, okay? I have to get it. It has to be immediate recognition somehow. So hunting, it's like, of course, I always look around for things, and it's actually never enough, strangely enough, You always think that this is it. But this is it. You become kind of like enfant terrible in a way, right? You have like, okay, that's it. But then, I don't know, just by examples, like, just did it the rush, but this is it, right? I mean, and then it's actually, no, this is just the beginning. And then it drives you a little bit crazy, right? I mean, why can't you just sit in front of the house on the bench and look at the mountains? I can't do that.
I do understand that, and also, my name is Diana, so the goddess of hunters. So I grew up in a hunter's family as well, and I had the same feeling when I went with my father, who was a hunter, and I thought it was extremely boring. And also letters of Giovanni Segantini, my great-grandfather. Yeah. He loved, animals, and we see how the animals are so important also in your work. And he also said, I love to paint them, I love to photograph them, but I could never kill them. Mm-hmm. The animal, and alive or slaughtered, as we saw in the film as well, is also a very central theme. How do you go about animals, camels, and
well, we grew up with animals, the animals are, at the time, insane. It was all animals, even in the houses. It was the animals heated up the house. And so everything was like the animal was central. Then came hunting. How important was that? It was constantly, everything was dancing around the animal somehow, right? But then, of course, I was always fascinated by hunting or by I remember when the neighbor killed the pig and you went to school and you come back and there's sausages on the table. That's quite amazing. I mean, I thought, God. And so the idea now, if you see this hunting here, which I had forgotten in the film, of killing the camel. We killed many camels. Because you eat all the camel meat, but this whole idea there was that it's actually always about storytelling, it's everything has a story, and that's why you probably also do that, I can imagine your great-grandfather, how many stories he must have had, and so this is what it is. It's like Walter Benjamin, storytelling, that's the best thing, I think. That's what is kind of very central to me, right? the camel. We killed the camel. I don't know if I should tell you everything, but like it was almost because we wanted. I was outside of Agadez in the desert, and there was a silversmith, right? Because they love silver. They don't like gold, they like silver. And this silversmith has a ring, and the ring has a sphere. And the sphere, as I asked him, did you do this? And he said, of course, who else, right? And then I was asking if he can do a bigger sphere, like as big as a melon. He said, but problem, I never did it. And so, like, what do you put in there? Because you have to put something in it. Interesting enough is that we can deal with the emptiness because we have so much. We can deal with emptiness much better than someone who is nothing. You know, minimal art, for example, is for them ridiculous. For someone, so he could make these spheres, and then I had to put in something. And at the end, it was like I couldn't put the stars in. He couldn't get in. I couldn't get in. It was his camel. Let's put the camel inside, and that's bad problem. So we put the camel inside. So like it's actually, how should I say it? Just one thing leads to another. But I think it's also poetic in a way.
Absolutely, as you said, it's all about storytelling from. Your art from, growing up in such a wonderful place as the Engadin, storytelling. It's also about film festivals, about having a dialogue. So it's a wonderful perspective to always wanting to go beyond. So I would like to just spend a few...
Can I just tell something else?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now we're talking about hunting. Hunting is actually, I believe, the storytelling is just as important or more important in than hunting, because like now they are, it's starting in 2 days, right? It's moving up here, like everyone in the lower Engadin especially, like can talk to people anymore. They're in their own world, fantastic, right? So that is also part of storytelling, I think.
Absolutely. These are really, childhood memories that, people would get completely in their world and
funny too.
Very funny and adventurous. And your last adventure, because we just had the book launch of a wonderful book by Almazevi, Sculptures. It's a wonderful, very personal monographic about you, Not Vital. Unfortunately, Alma had to leave yesterday, so she greets everybody and was very happy that we could show the book with the book launch at Fondation Weiler in June. There's going to be a whole presentation cycle internationally. We started off also in Tarasp and then also in London and Venice. So this also represents your journey. And how come this title, Sculpture? Is it because you maybe also always wanted to be a sculptor, as you said in the film as well?
Well, I didn't write the book, I mean, she believes that basically the center of all is like the quintessence, or like the backbone is sculpture. And I think she's right because she's very smart. She also, as a young girl, she was like, I remember she came to New York with her father and mother. She was very little. And she looked at one sculpture and said, oh, this kid has something, right? So by going through the whole thing, the fil rouge is probably sculpture at the end. Even though I paint, but sculpture, I think it's good sense of it. And I think that she chose the title and she's right with it.
Wonderful. So I can only recommend, there are some copies at Vega here in St. Moritz, so go and grab the book as well.
Where is Vega?
Vega is just down the road. It's the main library here in St. Moritz. So they just arrived yesterday for all the people who have seen your film right now. I would like to take the last 5 minutes of this conversation to take some questions. Please put your hand up and somebody will come with a mic.
But now, not later, can I ask you a question? Then it's too late. Okay.
There will be the apero. I hope you're staying for the welcome apero at the Kulm, like most of you.
Are you happy to be here? Not. Are you happy to be here?
To be right here,
yes.
Or over there?
Here,
but like, happy is a big word, isn't it?
It's a big word. I mean, I see you smiling. I see you smiling.
Happy, wow. Happy is very hard.
It's very hard.
It's hard, you know. Are you? I was very impressed by the location here. That really was like the best thing for me today.
That's a great word for the location, for the festival, and for art in the Engadin also becoming landscape, the theme of SMAFF.